Before Joseph Ratzinger became Pope Benedict XVI, he was the head of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith. And just in case you don't know exactly what is the job of this Vatican institution, let me remind you that until 1965, it was called the Office of the Holy Inquisition. Yes, that Inquisition, interrogating heretics and making sure that everyone is following the party line. And even though there was no more burning stakes, while Ratzinger was the head of that institution, he had the reputation of a stanch defender of the purity of the Roman Catholic teaching. In addition to silencing and disciplining progressive theologians, he famously decried the propensity of the modern-day Catholics to choose what parts of the Church's teaching they follow and what parts they will simply ignore. He called them cafeteria Catholics, and the term stuck. This Sunday's first reading, taken from the book of Sirach, reminds us that each one of us is called to choose wisely, to stretch out our hand and select fire or water, life or death. To prove the validity of that point, we hear Jesus quite literally pick and choose which commandments should be followed and how they should be interpreted. He says, "You have heard, thou shalt not kill. But I tell you, do not nurture hatred or anger in your heart towards another." You have read in the Bible that a man can divorce his wife and basically make her destitute. But I tell you, no. If she can't divorce you, you cannot divorce her either. You have been told not to commit adultery. But I tell you, it's not really about sex, but rather it is about objectifying another person with your lust. If you look at Jesus' interpretation of the Hebrew Scriptures, it is easy to see why he was famous or infamous for picking and choosing, for reinterpreting what the ancient text meant for his contemporaries. I suspect that he could have easily been called a cafeteria Jew if the Holy Inquisition existed in the first century. As people of faith, you and I have been called and sent by Jesus, just like Peter, to feed God's people. And what is a better place to do so than a cafeteria? That's why I think of the term cafeteria Catholic no longer as something offensive, but rather a compliment. You and I are called to offer spiritual food to those who are hungry. It is our job, as it was Jesus' job, to look at any given commandment or church doctrine and scrutinize it. We are called to discern which our traditions bring forth life and which cause hurt or death. So yes, Being a cafeteria Catholic, carefully choosing and selecting what goes on your spiritual plate is much better than going hungry or putting something unhealthy on it. Amen.